Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
And my name's Carl, and this is a Corepunk podcast. And yeah, so today's episode is going to be about our fixes for Corepunk because me and Mike are seasoned game developers. We're not at all, but like any content creator, we think we know best. So we're going to put out our ideas today.
Yeah.
No, it's just a bit of fun. We're going to chat about what we didn't like too much from the playtest that we tried, and hopefully give our solutions to what the fixes could be. So yeah, Mike, how are you doing first? You all right?
I'm good, man. Yeah, really good. We're nearing the end of October.
I know. Look, pumpkins.
Uh, Pumpkins, and I don't have any pumpkins. But that does mean playtest
Playtest
soon.
2. Hopefully, yeah.
Playtest number 2. So yeah, yeah, like you said, this isn't overly serious. We certainly do not claim to have the answers, but from what we've played and what we'd like to see and things that we feel would make the game better as a consumer.
Yeah, and I think from what our audience has said, so thank you very much to everyone who's been contacting us in the comments and through our
Mhm.
Discord. If you are new to this video, we have a Discord where we have a bunch of Corepunk fans and we chat in there, and you can submit questions that we can go through, and any sort of playtest requests that you might have that we can try out in the next playtest, let us know there. There'll be a link in description. But yeah, a bit of the feedback was that we have very positive so far on the game, and we're sort of dismissing some of the negative bits that we played,
Yeah,
which it's a fair comment. It is definitely fair to say, but my counter argument is this is the first game that the developer Artificial Core has ever made, um, and it was the first time anyone has in the public has got to try and test it out. So we're not being
yeah,
too overly critical because it's sort of like, well, this is the first time we've played it. They're getting feedback from this. If we get 4 play tests down the road and these issues are still there and it shows no signs of changing, then I
yeah.
imagine definitely we'll be sort of bringing that more to the front of our conversation and saying, look, this isn't going to be fun. Some of these mechanics just don't work. But
Mhm.
for now, let's get into what we didn't like too much about the playtest.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to
Who's going
start?
first? Go on, you go first.
I'll start.
Jump in.
So, I think a lot of the main point a lot of content creators were saying was the health regen thing, which isn't my first point. My first point would be the questing system.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Corepunk uh, is non-traditional in the sense that it doesn't want to put big yellow markers everywhere saying, here's your quest, collect the quest, run to point A, complete the quest, come back, and hand it in. It's more sort of like you'll pick up a quest, and an example in the game was the first quest was you have to go and find somebody's brother in the forest, which is southwest of the town that you're in, which is great. I absolutely love this system. And for that first quest, you're just like, this is so good. Like, it's
Yeah.
so cool not to have a marker and to be like, right, let's figure out where this is and we'll go searching. But we've spoke about it before. Sadly, in the playtest, they shortened the area so you actually couldn't find the person that quest was alluding
Is
to.
still missing to this day.
Still missing. And then further on from that was we realised that we did the typical sort of pick up load of quests as you're going by, and we'll get to them later. But there was no marker to sort of. There's no. The first problem was no area has a name on the map. So,
Yeah.
it is great that you can then talk to someone and say, "Have you done this quest? Do you know where to go?" But there's no reference. You can't be
Yeah.
like, "I've got this quest in this town. You need to go to this town to complete it," because you know what I mean. There's just nothing there. You could be like, it's near the building to the right over here, but there's no real. From what we
Yeah.
experienced, it was a very small little village, and I wouldn't be able to tell you. I guess you could be like, go left of the kitchen
Yeah,
if you knew
so
where the kitchen
there's a
was.
good example in the playtest that happened. That latter part from the previous podcast when I was talking about how we all kind of grouped up. You've hit a very good point there because we were north of the play area, and I think it was Blackout was trying to catch up, or one of the other content creators, and it was like, well, where is it? And the genuine description in voice chat was, it's the Dorito shaped field,
Right.
because other tortilla
Yeah.
chips are available. But but it was like, because there wasn't like, oh, it wasn't called Mr. Smith's farm on the thing, and then you could go, it's just left of Mr. Smith's farm. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you've made a very good point there.
And I think they've already responded to this feedback saying that they are going to add names to the map, which I think it's great. Like a map's there to, like, if there's going to be a map, there's nothing wrong with having names. Like every
Google
map in
Maps
the
has it.
world, you know
Every
what I
map in
mean?
the
If
world
you're
has it.
if you're
Yeah.
creating a map, you're going to name the place something that, you know, you're going to see something, right? Turtle Bay. There's turtles in that bay. You know what I mean? There you go.
Exactly.
Done.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
you're going to name it something. So it just fit with the sort of realism of there is a map, so
It's not
let's use
holding
it.
your hand by giving a thing a name, giving a village a name. It's not
No.
suddenly like, because then the quest description, like you say, which is really good, is it's southwest of here, but like it's saying it's southwest of Samstown, doesn't ruin that immersion and doesn't suddenly go, well, I know what I'm doing and how to complete. That sense of adventure's still there. If anything, giving something a cool name like Shadow Bay or something like
Just
that
adds to the
is
lore.
actually more to it, as opposed to just go west and there's like a tree or something. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So that is the main point that I was thinking. These question, I love the idea of this question system and it being sort of that you've got to think about it. Don't just run to to the big glowing sign to finish the quest. So
Yeah.
my solution to this would be best of both worlds, right? So we definitely need area location titles so you know where you're going. So you can say go here, go there.
Yeah.
But if you know, accessibility, say if you know what I mean, you just you get
Yeah.
really
There
stuck,
is
you
that
can't do
side of
it.
it.
You go back to the quest giver. You need to know for another thing. Sorry, I'm going through it as I'm talking. You need
Yeah.
to be able to know when you highlight or track a quest. You need to be able to at least be notified on who gave you the quest, because
Mhm.
we found in the playtest that once you picked up a quest, there was no way of telling who gave you that quest or where they are in the map,
No.
because there was just nothing on your map to suggest where they were. So I think
Yeah.
when you track a quest, it should be highlighted from where you got that quest. So then once you complete it, you can get back to them and hand it in. I think that's just, there's nothing, it's not going to break the realism, that it's just going to be a
No.
quality of life thing. So,
100%.
so that thing. So I think that if you were struggling with using the directions and just doing it with the sort of like go west here, go left, I think you should be able to go back to the quest giver, chat to him a bit more, and get a bit more of a clue, and get a bit more. And say
Mhm.
there's 4 stages of this sort of, you can click through, and then it basically becomes go to this point, do it here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think you should be rewarded in the fact that if you do it on stage 1 where it's just you've worked it out, you get
Yeah.
more gold, say. I think you should still get the same XP from quests, because I think
Yeah.
that'd just
Yeah.
be
Yeah. That
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
and I think you should get the same rewards.
Mhm.
Except maybe you could do sort of legendary quests, you know what I mean, where there is no, it's a really hard quest and you get a
Yeah.
legendary item.
I think a hardcore variant of some quests would be
But I
brilliant.
think at some point it should unlock and it be the typical quest, the typical
Yeah.
sort of like,
I
and then you get less gold. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
get a less reward for it. Bit of a, you know what I mean? Look, you've done this. Now you're getting 1 gold instead of 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I I I I'd be fully on board with a system like that, and I don't think there's one implemented like that, because, like you touched on, the kind of questing system in Corepunk, from what we've played, is very unique in the sense that it doesn't hold your hand. I
No,
like the idea of, like, you were saying how speaking to him, or and I could just imagine like you interact and go, "Oh, I'm still struggling," and he's like, "Look here, mate. I'll just mark it on your map. Look, you need to go round this bit,"
perfect.
and then it
That
it could be like a marker, or here's my pet dog. He'll sniff him out, and you can gain the companion, and it'll just beeline for something cool like that. And like you say, XP, I think certainly keep the same. because, like say, there is an accessibility element to it, but certainly like it's kind of like a truck delivery. If you deliver it fast and effective, you're going to get more money. The more you have to like be like, oh, I need to do this, that, and that, takes off you like a gold, silver, bronze
Yeah.
kind of system. And then like you can do achievements then as well. Like if you did the whole campaign and got gold medals, or didn't ask for help for this quest line, and like you say, that could unlock legendary quests. It could like
Yeah. Or a
there's
title,
actually
you know
quite
what I
a lot.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah, you could
Yeah,
really,
navigator. A navigator title would be class because then it's like, oh, that person's done it
yeah.
without.
Could even make it a
I'm well
talent.
on board with that. Yeah,
Make it a talent that you spec into. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the navigation talent tree that, you know what I mean? More hints or uh, unlock like a Witcher sense. You know, like the Witcher game where you not like a Witcher. Yeah, like a Witcher
but
sense. You pick up
yeah,
a
you
quest
do, and
and it
you pick
highlights an
do the
area of the
footsteps.
map that you know that your quest is going to be in. You know,
Yeah,
something that I think they should. You know what I mean? Cater to, but don't completely remove it because it'd be the worst thing now to if like them to step back and get scared from this feedback of people just being like, "Whoa, this is too much,"
yeah,
and then just roll it back and it'd be the same as everyone else because
yeah,
it really was great. It's just that it needs implementing better. And I
yeah,
think the tie into this as well with the quest system is I think a bestiary needs to be made because we found in that quest where you had to defeat the gnats, go and collect 10
yeah,
things. I had no idea what a gnat was, and the beast or the monster that it was didn't have gnat in the title.
yeah,
So I had no idea how. Like I was running up to him, thinking, "Oh, that's not them," and then running off to a different mob, and oh
yeah,
no, that's not them. And then it was only because of you being
yeah.
experienced in
Just
MMOs.
purely know what that was. Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that's fine if you're not going to title them yourself. It'd just be like, look, I'm looking for this, like you said. Let me mark it in your book. This is what they look like. Or and then
mm.
you know what I mean. You pull your beast,
Or
and
if
that
you've
is
ever,
this.
yeah, if you've ever killed one, it adds it to your beastery, and it can just be like a cool little trivia thing of like the
Pokedex.
yeah, a bit like a Pokedex type species gnat known for, and you could even include like the type of thing it drops. So when you're crafting, if you needed insect guts or
Yeah,
venom or something, you could actually, if you've ever killed so many, a bit like I think to the hunt showdown, the more things you kill of that thing, the more you unlock in the beastry. So you
right.
learn where its weaknesses are, and you learn. So
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool because then you could be like, and again, you can include titles. You become the Gnat Slayer if you've killed 100, and it
yeah.
unlocks a nice, cool.
And it's another
Um,
completionist sort of thing. You know what I mean? Fill out the book. There's,
mm,
go collect your Pokemon, fill up the Pokedex. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I just think,
I'd be on board with that.
yeah, these sort of little quality of life things could really help towards the gameplay aspect, and it's not making it easier, even though it will to a certain extent. But it's
Being
giving
easy
the
isn't a bad
option.
thing.
No, it's not. It's not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but it's not holding your hand. I don't want it to be
No.
handheld, but I
No.
just you need to make it a bit more accessible. Like
Yeah.
it was very hardcore. It was very much like unless you were a developer of the game, you wouldn't know what you were doing. Like
Yeah,
some
I'd
of them
agree with that.
quests, there's no like unless you knew where the quest line was going, you'd have no idea. Like
Yeah, and you probably would know that as the developer because you will have either loaded in an asset, done the design of the quest, or had some input possibly. Um, so yeah, they're both well. That's all very. It makes sense. I think
yeah,
you're right. The thing with like the map thing, every map has names. It has any map you even a globe and atlas and stuff all have.
yeah. You don't just
It's
make a
not.
map and not name something on it. You're like,
Yeah, yeah. Even if you're designing a like you say a like a treasure map,
yeah,
still put an X on it somewhere.
yeah,
Like even
yeah,
if it's in a
yeah.
treasure,
You always
you
put a
know.
picture of a tree and an X. Yeah, like,
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm fully on board with that. I like the idea as well of the making it accessible because it's an optional experience. I think that's crucial. So if you do want the easier route or a more productive route that you don't want to be searching through forests and stuff, have that option. That's great, but there is a reward for not doing that. But you, no matter whether you do it the hard way, the easy way, the really easy way, or whatever, you're not excluded from that activity. And I think that's the important bit there.
You don't want to sit down, say, like, especially me now as a new father, I don't want to be having just like that 2 hour bit where I can jump on in the evening and not be able to get anything done. You know, like,
Yes,
you
you
know what I mean?
feel hamstrung by
I
the
don't,
game system.
I might, you know what I mean? It might have been a week since I've played last, you know, and I don't want to be jumping back in thinking, oh God, where did I pick this up? Where am I? How can I get to this? There
That
just needs to
happens as
be
well
a,
in MMOs.
happens
Yeah,
in every game. How many games do you
yeah,
go back to after a while and think, well, yeah, where was I in this? You know,
yeah.
especially in,
Cyberpunk was the most recent one for me. I fired it up because I wanted to see the new update, and I was like, just like stood in in the
yeah,
middle of nowhere, and I'm like, cool, yeah, no, that's fine. I need a bit of guidance. So,
yeah.
um,
I just, yeah, it'd be detrimental. Is it, yeah, detrimental to the game not to have this sort of like accessibility. Yeah,
100%. It'll be very niche. Like that's great. You probably get the 100,000, a couple of thousand people who love that, and they'll play it and they'll play it and they'll play it. But you need to have accessibility, and some people want a fun time and not a hard time. But that balance can so easily tip. You know, like you say, if you have the 2 hours, you've been all day at work. You know, your
I mean,
daughter's gone down. You're like, I've got a few hours. You don't want to have that ruined by where the fuck is this
yeah,
switch? You know, it's like
yeah,
something
exactly.
really random like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm fully on board with that, and I think it would be a good implementation while still keeping the characteristic of what they've done artificial core with the current quest system.
yeah. And I think, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? I forgot. I've lost it. Lost my thought. Go on. You
Train of
tell me
thought.
what you're thinking now.
What I'm thinking now. So I had to think about this. Going back to when you did the intro there, you were saying about how we've been quite positive.
Yes.
What I would say to that is because the game's generally good.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
very easy. I know people. It's been Corepunk's had a rough road up until this stage. We've had a lot of delays. We've had a lot of issues. We're almost engineered, expected to have a level of like, oh, this is shit, or you know, this isn't, you know, it's another delay. Whatever the narrative you want to sell. But the playtest, the reason why we've been quite positive is because it was a quite positive playtest, and that was not to say it wasn't without fault. And like I say, that's what we're addressing. But yeah, I was just thinking about that when you were saying that. I was like, it was positive because it was positive.
And also,
You know, like
there wasn't that much for us to
no,
test. That like
yeah,
there really wasn't.
I
It
think
was
there was there's definitely been a. You could tell in our Discord as well as the main Discord, like people were asking some questions that were like, you know, we didn't even unlock talent trees and stuff. So, but I think because they've been previewed, people might have just expected them to be in
to be
the
in. Yeah.
playtest.
I'm hoping the next play test opens up a lot more. I definitely want to see talent trees. I want this health gen stuff sorted out. I do think it'll. I think the regen stuff. I think it'll just be. It has to be the first quest's rewards. I think you do, and I think you need to be given 2 artifacts at the beginning of the game that give you your regen, and then from there you can then upgrade them further. I personally, I don't feel like it needs it like a base level. I just think that you need to be given the artifact from the off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's the two avenues. You give a base regen, and once you hit level 20 plus, then you come into it. Or like you say, the alternative, no regen, but you pick it up in the first 3, 4, 5 quests where it allows So yeah, like I say, it's not. Now I've sat on it, I've thought about it for a while. It is something I want, and it's probably something we're going to get. But like you said, it's not on my list particularly of what I'd change. The
No.
thing that came because when we decided we were going to do this, I had to think quite a bit like what actually would I change and what do I feel is missing.
Yeah.
And I think it came from the second part of my playthrough, um, which is the skills. So the skills themselves, all brilliant. They all fit their narrative quite well, and I really enjoyed that. The thing that I had concerns or things that I certainly didn't enjoy or would change, purely from a play style perspective of not even for both, it affects PvP more, I would say, but I certainly think as a base level of the game affects everything, and it could be an issue on a bigger scale and more wide. So there's a thing in games called telegraphing.
Right.
Now,
What?
telegraphing
Yeah, I was going to say, what's
is
that?
it's not you writing a newspaper or anything like
No.
that, but it's basically a notification of some description that tells you something else is going to happen. So,
Right.
for example, um, you're a berserker. You're about to go into a blood frenzy. It's an instant cast, or it might be half a second cast to go into it. But imagine it just did it. You ready? So
Yeah.
this is not in me berserker stance, and this is me in berserker stance. It's
Right.
like in the heat of battle, you're not. That's not a thing.
No.
So an example could be they shout really loud and they go, "Ah," and then it hits as
Yeah.
they're doing it. So there's a telegraphing, or it could be lifting lifting your sword up or
Different
reloading your
stance.
gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like doing the shotgun that that classic and you think, oh
Yeah.
dear, now it's going down. And the reason why I think it would be something that I didn't enjoy in the beta is because it affected my play, like my
Yeah.
gameplay.
Yeah.
So in the group thing, the legionary can chuck the closest ally or enemy,
Yeah. I remember you saying this. Yeah.
but there's nothing to tell you that that is going to happen. And I really, whilst hilarious and kind of like, I could just chuck whoever's closest to me. Yeet, see you later. That's not fun to be a recipient of. And also
No.
in a PvP aspect, if you can't avoid it, or you can't, like say a boss just did a really devastating one shot laser beam,
Yeah.
but there's no charging up of the laser beam, it just goes pew, and you've got no time to
Yeah.
react.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there needs to be more of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it kind of ties in with something I think you mentioned, and I thought about it because we've said in the previous podcast after we played that it's not a fast paced game. It's quite a nice
It's a
kind
weight.
of
It's like weighty, isn't it?
heavier
Like, yeah.
gameplay. Yeah. So with telegraphing, that means a lot of instant spells are like semi instant. So like it could be like the healer's backpack flashes before their instant spell goes off. So it's not quite instant, but it is. You've
Yeah.
still got time to react to that thing. And I thought a good way to offset that, because that will inevitably slow the the fight more. Because if there is the berserker yelling before they go into berserk mode, or there is like a voice line of like, I'm gonna impale you, and he just like picks and then throws the spear, just so there's something,
Yeah.
makes the gameplay better, but it will slow it down. To offset that, and we talked about it, would be to make the base attacks just a bit quicker.
Yeah.
So the flow of the battle is, yes, it's slowed by the skill side of it, but the natural, if me and you were fighting, dueling, it's just hit, 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 that being a bit more fluid and a bit more smoother. because the way it felt for me in that latter bit, where those awkward bits where I'm lining up throwing the spear, for example, or I'm about to do the spin with the destroyer, there's a few occasions where I was just chucked out of position. Now,
Yeah.
that's great if I was like, I'm about to die, and then the person reacts and goes, "Get out of here." That's cool, but when it's not like there's
Yeah.
not a chance to react to the scenario. I'm about to throw that, he chucks me, and then I miss my shot.
Yeah.
That's hard to
It's
like.
definitely in the PvP aspect. It's just a bit sort of like, well, how can you defend against it, isn't it? It's just like
Yeah,
it's a bit
and it's the
OP.
same with
Sort of
like
like,
yeah, raid bosses and stuff. Yeah, of course, you want the harder battles to be hard, but you like say if there is a giant spider that shoots lasers and there is their big laser one shots you or at least takes 80% of your health, which is a great mechanic because it's like move, like get out of the area. If there is no like visual or audio cue for the player to go, I need to react to this because WoW does this, and WoW's response to it, or rather the community's response, is to add a metric ton of add-ons, and they're
yeah,
not fun. It's
yeah, you
like
don't want add-ons. Yeah.
move out of the fire, and it's like, oh, that's not fun. Like I'm literally
No,
just being told, taunt
where to
now,
stand.
jump now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't enjoy that, and I think if it went to a larger play test and it wasn't addressed, especially like you say PvP, I can see it in a raid and dungeon scenario with bosses just having like like a cheeky, like, like I can imagine like a whirlwind attack, like a big Reaper scythe or something. And if all four of you don't have chance to move out the way, that's really boring if you all just wipe because
Yeah.
there wasn't
Yeah.
like move out the way or don't stand here or whatever.
So I'm
So
sort of like I'm thinking back to sort of Elden Ring now, where it's sort of the boss battles are, Elden Ring's a well tough game, but even that has
yeah,
telegraphing in. But if it's a short telegraph and then a massive combo, so it is still, you could like offset it that way. You know what I mean? You're getting a short telegraph. If something's about to happen, get out of the way. And if you're not on the ball, you've got a massive combo coming your way now.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And it rewards you. That's rewarding gameplay because
mm,
for me, if I'll stick with the spider laser. I don't know why, but that's what the one. If I can hear that charging up, and I move, and I don't lose 80% of my health, that's reward. That's like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm out the way. I'm still alive, and we keep fighting.
You know what's
If
just come to head? Sorry, as we're chatting as
Go on,
well, which is just it'll never come to the game, I don't think. But I could see it in the game. Is a roll mechanic. They've got jump mechanic. I could see like a
like a
dash or a
dodge.
roll in this
Yeah.
game because the combat, it is quite heavy. I could see that, and like the movement isn't slow, but it's like we say, it's weighted. I could see
Mm,
a roll
yeah.
being there just to give you a bit of that agile, get out, like you said, get out of the way of those big combos and those instant casts. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's just
could
me
certainly see it. No, it would fit,
digressing
and
enough.
it would be very hard to describe to someone who hasn't felt the game in the hands because when we say heavy, like that's not a negative thing. It
No, it feels great.
it
It feels
feels
great to
weighty
play.
and it's
Like, yeah,
like real. It is really good. Um, and I could see like like a stamina bar of because you could
yeah,
introduce
yeah,
so you can't
yeah. No, yeah,
perma
you couldn't
jump
do it
as
all the
well.
time. Yeah,
You could have two rolls.
have
Like
it
say it
tied to your
takes
mana if
50.
you wanted.
Yeah.
No, no, maybe not.
Yeah. I'd
Maybe
I'd
not.
I'd have health mana or rage, I think is the berserker one, or energy if it's like a roguish like one, and stamina. Because it could just be like because New World has it, for example. New World has all three.
Yeah,
And you can generally get two full rolls in quick succession out of a stamina bar. It
yeah.
doesn't need to be crazy. You don't want to be doing like some of the builds in like Dark Souls and that where they just roll,
No,
roll,
yeah, no,
roll,
no.
roll, wait for him to do that thing. But one or two just for that, I need to move or
And
I
just a
mean as
bit
well because
fun traversing the land.
yeah, it's cool and you can add a lot of mechanics with that. They talked about doing like puzzles, like standing on platforms, and like it could just be like rolling through spider webs or rolling through a laser beam so it doesn't trigger, and
Yeah.
all these kind of things. Like you can actually just do weird little applications with it, and it looks cool because who doesn't like? I mean, I can't roll in real life. I can't say I've ever done it. You
You've never
know,
done a roly poly?
I've never done a battle roll. I've done a roly
No, I've never done a
poly,
battle roll.
but you know, like in the moat, I've not gone out on the street and just gone, "Huh," and just
Yeah,
like
no, yeah.
rolled over.
Wouldn't suggest it.
But yeah, I wouldn't suggest it. No, I wouldn't either. But that's what I do purely because, from a personal standpoint, that is something I didn't enjoy,
Yeah.
and I can imagine the general consensus of people where, because we you see it a lot, especially in PvP, is that people die to bullshit. They like often say that it's like, oh, that was bullshit, and it's like those little things are often like the things that are
Yeah, it's
so
aggravating.
like, yeah, and it is because there isn't a bit of, like say telegraph. It can just be a sound. It can be the color of the thing. It can just be a, there has to
Yeah.
be something. Um, so I'd certainly change. That would be like my biggest change, because I would hate to be in that thing of, you go into the PvP areas where PvP is just on. You don't have a choice to turn it on and off, and you die to just some guy chucking you off a cliff or chucking
Yeah.
like it could be so easily done, and that's just from the three classes we've played. Who knows what the other toolkits are?
Yeah.
The Pain
It's
Reaper's got
18,
like a
isn't there?
trap, and yeah, it's a lot, and if all those three are so drastically different, and
Yeah.
having a full roster, there's going to be there's something we won't have discovered yet that's going to be utter pain in the bum to deal with, because there'll be no telegraphing, and then people will
No.
just and because it creates a narrative as well, with that people who know that that particular class or subclass has that ability to be annoying, more people will then choose to play it,
Yeah.
and then more people are susceptible to being played by it, and it creates this kind of imbalance of the meta.
Yeah, it becomes
So
the meta, yeah.
if a hero's really kind of good or has this BS mechanic that is just like, oh well, died to that again, hooray, and people start resenting the game, even though it's not really the game. It's just the fact that thousands of people are going to pick that subclass because it has that BS thing that
Yeah.
to them is fun, because people love winding people up. Like it's the
No,
internet.
it's definitely a good point, and I think this is why we've been saying for so long is that this playtest, especially, I feel could have come 6 months earlier.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
I don't see why this couldn't have happened 6 months earlier. Like we've been shown footage of them doing more than we got to see. Like the profession system was a lot more. There was more openness there.
Yeah.
Um, actually, the talent trees were unlocked in the profession system, weren't they? So,
I mean, they will have, I imagine, and well, if we're going in, if they are planning early access, you've got to have a level
December.
of like the game is pretty much
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I get that, and my point is like I still am very thankful that we got to play at this stage anyway. But I just, like I've always said, I just hope they're not too far gone to not be able to change the questing system now. To like, how long is that going to take? Because they definitely are going to change the question. That's another point as well as to why we haven't been so negative about what we played, is because I don't feel like any of the problems that we've got, possibly a telegraphing one. I don't know
Yeah,
if how easy that is to change, but the problems with the health regen and the quest system, one, they've already admitted that they're going to change that. Like I just feel like they're going to be sorted by the time this gets to anyone else playing the game other than
yeah,
testers. So,
100%.
like, yeah, I really can't see this going into early access with the problems of the health regen and the questing system
No,
being the way they
and I
are
think
now.
we did kind of touch on that, like in the previous one, saying about that, because regen was I'd say overwhelmingly the thing that at least everyone had a mild opinion on, or a strong
Yeah,
opinion, and but in the game that and again, we're not developers. I imagine that's a line of code that changes mana regen from 0 to 1.
Yeah.
And it works it out because the artifacts have it, so the code
Yeah.
is there to have
Yeah.
mana regen. It's not like we're asking them to add like you say, the roll stamina thing is a new thing. That's not like, oh, we'll just add a stamina bar. Whereas the
Yeah.
mana regen is. So when we say, oh, it was an issue, but am I mad about it? Is it probably going to be solved? Well, if they listen to feedback, judging by the amount of people who spoke about it, 100%. You know,
Yeah.
and they've played the game. This is the other
Yeah.
thing is I imagine they've played, and I think again you touched it in a previous episode, was that they will have played the game, but they've probably played it with the artifacts, so it's not been an issue.
Yeah.
And that is
Exactly.
why these playtests are playtests, because they've built this game from nothing to whatever state it's in now. That probably first quest bit, they've probably not even really gone over it as a player. They've gone over as a designer, sound design, graphics, making sure it looks and works. But then they've probably not thought of a brand new player doing that quest without those things, because they probably had those things because they will have had characters on
It'd be
debug
really
mode.
interesting to see what the friends and family got to play, because they did have that closed play test with friends and family.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
wonder if they were just kitted out and just let loose in the world, or because
yeah.
I don't think the health regen would have been in if they'd experienced what we'd experienced. I don't think it was the same play test at all.
No, yeah. Well, I think Eugene's. Well, I say think he did say this is the first time he played that specific build we had.
Right.
So, so they certainly played another iteration or another version. But like you say, whether it was dungeons, whether it was the further end, and like you say, just given them characters to go enjoy the world, and they did. Um, yeah, that would be interesting. We'll probably never find out, but
No.
um, yeah. Do you have? And was there anything else on your kind of mind that was like? Because mine
Well,
that was a major one, but like
like I
there's a
said
few
before, I
other
think it's
bits.
just I think there wasn't that, other than just being sort of like in the high of we're in the Corepunk world and we're chopping down trees and we're doing stuff. There wasn't that much there to test, other than
Yeah,
pick up a few quests, go do them in this
yeah,
small area. That was it. That, you know what I mean? There's a few people to
yeah.
talk to. You can unlock recipes and get a look at that, but it was all very sort of like restricted because you didn't have enough of area to go and collect the things that those recipes needed or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hundred
So I think,
percent.
yeah, I don't want to be, yeah, commenting too much on stuff that we haven't tested. You know, like it's really hard to sort of be like, oh, yeah, this didn't work and that didn't work because we didn't test enough. And I think I don't think any content creator is sort of out there going, I don't think this worked, I don't think this, because yeah, I don't think it would be right to do that. It literally was just have how does it feel? Like, and that's how they framed
It's
it. That's
exactly
how they
what
framed it.
yeah, they
So
did.
yeah.
Yeah, it's how it
So
feels, and it felt great. And I, yeah, no, I'd agree. I think people were under the illusion that we had a lot to play with
no,
because they have previewed a lot of stuff. Like I know in our Discord when we had the playtest question feedback stuff, I know someone asked about whether any inkling of the factions were in. Like, like as far as the game's concerned and what we did see, like there was nothing, and there wasn't even an inkling. This
it was
game
just
is going to be massive, and what, like you say, on that grand scheme, we had one village, we had an area around it. We couldn't even finish the first main quest to a certain thing. So it's kind of like, yeah, I get why people maybe. I understand now why people do feel like maybe we're being too positive, but the bits we were shown were positive,
yeah.
not without fault. But there also wasn't a lot to comment and critique. The world looked great. It felt great to be in.
It
The
ran
mechanics
incredibly
felt
well.
good. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like we talked to get like the fact that I didn't drop below 60 at not even once. And like
Yeah.
I had 12, 13 people on the screen towards that end bit. Of course, the servers aren't massively populated, but there's a million trees in that game. There are so many little things
Critters
like
running
bugs
around
that are
and stuff. Yeah.
moving. Yeah, rain coming down. The rain didn't make it because in some games when you have rain on, it kind of goes. It just
Yeah.
makes it a bit. There was none of that,
No.
at least in our thing. So the only other bits that I really had issue with were one was how good the food was.
Yeah.
I know this seems, and again, it kind of does tie into that. They will probably fine tune and balance this. We probably didn't have access to a lot of recipes, but the base food of eating an eggplant and it gave you 10 health over 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And when we were only like level 6 and we had 300 health, it's a lot. It was,
Yeah.
like, but again, and I didn't enjoy that because I didn't enjoy having to hit boxes or go around fields like this field here. If you walk over those watermelons, there's a 1 in, it feels like 100 chance that a watermelon slice will drop.
Yeah.
So not every one of those watermelons is a water. If it had be, great, but it's not. But
No.
when you're walking over a whole field to get one watermelon slice for 10 health, it's like, that's a bit too like survival almost.
Yeah. And this,
Um,
to anyone who is watching now, this is the area that we played in.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
there was like
I
they've got a
think,
lot more items there. Like looking at that alone, they've already
what
got
level are they?
more.
Well, they've got 3. Where's the level there? Doesn't say, does it?
Yeah, no, but
It,
they've
no, it
got
doesn't say, but
3.
he's got 3 of his skills, and you unlock a skill every time you level. So, and
Yeah,
one of
so
them's
that's the
leveled.
village. That is the village we played there.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah, and that NPC there, for reference, go and find him when you get a chance to play. It's very good interaction.
yeah, and look, he's got 7 fires already in his inventory there
Yeah,
to the right. So,
yeah,
and fires are hard to craft. You need quite a few materials.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, looking to the future now and this next
Mhm.
playtest, I'm uncertain on whether we will. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm uncertain on whether it's going to hit this early access because I think there's going to be. I think we're going to get another playtest now, end of October. I don't know if I can see them implementing all the feedback, whether they want to before they go into early access in December. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
if time has proven anything, Eugene is a perfectionist. So I imagine that a lot of the feedback that people are giving, they'll want to implement before they go to early access. And I don't know if the
yeah,
end of the play, a month, a month from the next play test to be able to get this out to public.
yeah. And the other thing to think about that is, like we said about the mana regen, they may already know that that's not a problem. Like,
Yeah,
so the feedback they might have is already in progress, or they know that come their build that they want to release in early
I
access
think he
isn't a
actually,
thing.
I think he might have actually said that in the news post that went out. I think, he could have said that. Look, you've highlighted a few things that we already know about, which is good. Um,
Yes, yeah,
yes. He says that quest navigation was highlighted in the feedback. While we believe direct quest markers might take away from the sense of exploration, we're looking at to improve quest structure and we'll add more general markers and zone names to the map for clarity, which is great. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
um,
brilliant.
a big takeaway from feedback is the immersive nature of cover. It's good to know that our efforts in crafting a rich atmosphere, we're committed to a thing. Flow, we'll fix that in upcoming updates.
Yeah,
So
I think they probably have, like you say, they have a vision.
yeah, that's it. Many of the bugs you encountered were already known to us. So
Yeah.
maybe they mean feedback there. I'm not too sure. Um,
Well, yeah, we had a bug free experience, minus a few UI issues for me.
yeah,
Like, like you say, like the sound slider didn't work. Um, so when people are asking why we're not quite as critical is because that is a fix.
Yeah.
That's not fundamental. It's not like there isn't a sound slider. Like then we'd be like, you just have to have it full blast, and your ears are really sore after an hour playing. Like it's just
Yeah.
kind of, but yeah, I think you summed it up brilliantly in the fact that there wasn't a lot to actually. Now, can you take that as a negative thing? Quite possibly, because is that because that's all they have that works? I doubt it. It doesn't feel
Yeah,
like the
I
world
doubt
will
it.
be like it is.
No.
But I could understand someone who hasn't played it, who's maybe watched people go, "Oh, this is great," and it's like, "Well, what did you get to play?" Well, we got this circle, and they're like, "Right, well, anyone can
Yeah.
make a demo that looks good in that circle." So I understand, and again, thinking back to all the delays and the skepticism of all that, I get why people maybe feel that there's disproportion in terms of. But there were certainly content creators who slated their playtest.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
there
you
was.
only
Yeah.
need to go in the forums and the discords, and there's a couple of people who gave it 2 out of 10, and they were just like, "This game's terrible," and it's just like, this is the joy of why they have these different people playing, because everyone has a different opinion, have a different aspect on what they want an MMO to be, what they expect out of games. It's just
I
that,
guess that is just finding your content creator to listen to there. If you know what I mean, if you
yeah,
disagree with what we're saying, listen to some other people, see if they're saying the same thing, and then you know that we're
yeah,
not fucking blowing smoke up their arse,
yeah, yeah.
But
Which I feel like people do feel like, and I understand why. You know, I've got a picture. There's a Corepunk box just sat there. It might look like some corporate shill, but hey, if you like a football team and you support a football team, do you buy the kit? Do you wear the merch? Do you go and support them, even on the bad games? Yeah, you do. Like a true supporter does. Like, I think like to my parents who support a team, and they'll go and they'll still be a fan even if the game was crap 10 games in a row. You know, they still criticize it, but do they still support it? And the answer is yeah. So I think, yeah, I just want other people to play it. I want people to actually
yeah,
now, like you say, I hope October. They've said they're increasing numbers. That's fine, but I hope it is that kind of thing of like it's enough, and like you were saying about the early access thing, they even know they've got the early access build, and this is just to, like, they might have kept us in that circle because there was something they wanted us to find,
yeah,
and we may have found it, we may not have.
yeah.
So there is that side of it, and also you don't want to blow your load straight away. They wouldn't want to give us the full game
No.
because in 12 hours the criticism would have been then, well, the game was there and I only got to do 12 hours, so bleh,
I
so
think early access is a good route for this game now, though. I don't think they
yeah,
should hold it off any longer.
no,
I do think we need to be getting they need to be hitting these play test dates. I'd be upset if they did, like, not upset and angry, but I'd just be upset for them if they didn't hit this next play test, because I still think
people are waiting.
people,
Some people are
and I think there's
priding
still stuff that they
themselves.
can learn. You know what I mean? There's more feedback to be given.
100%.
But obviously, as the game opens up, I don't want them to keep holding it off and not get, because I see the potential. Like we keep saying, it's just like the core mechanics, the pun, are awesome. The game looks
Yeah,
gorgeous. It's running really well. It's just these quality of life things that they will only get feedback from people actually playing, which will
yeah,
improve the game. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so
and they seem. I mean, they've been committed to this point. They've gone through hell and high water. Had to up
oh,
all
is
their
it?
routes and move studios. They've had to do everything. They're committed, and if they do want the game to do well, which would be really bizarre as a developer to be like, oh, I'm not fussed if it does well. Like, they are going to listen to feedback. They're going to listen to the players when it comes out in early access. It would be foolish and ridiculous for them not to listen, as long as it's the majority, and they don't listen to every vocal minority, because often the really negative ones are the loudest. like you say, there'll always be something to learn.
Yeah.
And like you say, no matter how much of a perfectionist you are, you can't hold on to it too long.
No.
Like I said, I think I said it in the other one, that snowball's pushed off the top of the hill now, and it's only going to get bigger and it's only going to get faster. Like, don't stop it, because if you
Yeah, don't
stand in the
stop,
way of a
yeah.
massive snowball, it's going to bloody hurt,
Yeah.
and really. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Well,
I think I agree with you though about early access.
yeah. We'll see.
I
I hope
don't
I'm
know.
wrong. I'd
Fingers crossed. What a great Christmas present it would be.
oh, the best. Well, that's a good way to wrap it up in it for now. Wrap that present. Wait for December.
Mhm.
Hopefully, the next podcast will be an announcement of the next playtest. We're pretty close, aren't we? What's the date today? 16th, 17th? Yeah,
Yeah,
17th. So,
I think we got about a week
yeah.
heads up, didn't we, last time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
could be soon.
hopefully, you've enjoyed this episode if you are watching. Um, comment down below what you think. And yeah, join our Discord. It's been great to see so many new people. Thank you for all the subs that have come in recently. We're still a very small channel, so yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, does.
Yeah. Yeah, until next time. Hope everyone's doing well. See you soon. Bye.
Look after yourselves. Bye.